just want to thank Tom and Henry for a really incredible set. Those instruments are really at once embodying and also kind of so much about a erupt this horizon for an Imogen. That was a really incredible reading. Thank you so much. I'm going to start with something that's kind of anomalous in my writing, which is that it's a piece of fiction. And it came out of this really great process, which I would recommend to everybody, which is, I was in a workshop with Lucy Ives, who's a novelist, and she wanted to do a collaborative novel. So there were about a dozen of us, and the collaboration started by each of us inhabiting one of a dozen characters, and they'd be people like the pharmacist and the postmaster, all people that have jobs in this small town. And to kick off the novel, we all had to write letters to another person in the town, as if there was a problem. Like, you lost my mail, and here's what I feel about it. And then those people would write a response back, and then it would continue. So this is just a recommendation towards a great writing project. But I came into it halfway through, so I wasn't part of the initial thing, and I was saddled with this character that I didn't make, whose name was Acid. And Acid was like a singer-songwriter in this town. And then the central thing that was happening in this town was that a time capsule was being opened up for the first time. So I'll just begin. They had the town band come out, and all the government officials in their monkey suits and bright plastic flags on the streetlights, etc. So much effort to pithy spectacle. And yet, as soon as the time capsule was cracked, the shiny horns were lowered, and there was silence among them all. It was the power of their fraught curiosity, a force many scales bigger than the mind. They could no longer celebrate a thing they did not understand. I heard that sound I love better than any word, hungry gulls. In the absence of the lead archivist, who was among the many out that day with Omicron variant BA2, it was the town clerk who suddenly nudged forward to begin placing the contents of the capsule on the card table. Everyone crowded in around them, and I couldn't see the table anymore. I'm a bit of an agoraphobe. But the town clerk shouted, "Exhibit A," and held a photograph high in the air, turning it around so that everyone could see. I knew it from memory. It was the only thing I'd come for, and I brusquely turned and headed home. Their tolerance for not cheering got the better of them. Slowly, there was more chatter, more yelling, the return of brass and melody and snare. The further I got, the louder it seemed to grow, till at some point it had disappeared, as though filed away in a drawer. I kept the photograph in my mind's eye. Its image had been here in my head all my life, but witnessing it in the external world, thrust high by the white-gloved hand of the town clerk, those many dozen eyes bearing on it, as if it would unlock and soothe them. Ceremony had renewed its vibrancy and given me pause. The photograph was black and white, of a short-haired adolescent in the mouth of a cave. No one could have known who this youth had been, because no one remembered, but I knew well. It was Mary Martyr Welling, the first to transform herself into the sea, and the biggest inspiration of my life. Even from 30 feet away, meeting eyes with the light that once fell upon her, I awoke from my pitiful hatred of the terrible townsfolk, and my heart was strained to the sky, as though from the sky would fall not something I could catch, but my very own self, into my very own arms. I had tried for a decade to live productively in my abstinence. People came to the tavern to hear my music night after night. Every community needs their artist, needs their example of life that they both love and can never fully grasp. I think that having lacked greater clarity and a resolution of my own, it was all I could do with my time and energy, not to obliterate these people, but instead to play songs for them. But now I knew the time had come. I would finally follow the path I'd always suspected was mine. It's kind of a sad thing because I have no idea what other people wrote, and I don't think I'll ever return to finishing this story, but I like having it. But mostly I write poems, so I'm going to read a bunch of poems, a few of which, or most of which, take place at a fish market, and there's kind of an evil fishmonger. And a bunch of other characters. But not all of them take place at this fish market, but you're situated. Think of me, I think of you, accruing in furnaces, hot on the flecked trail of past meteors. Come in, I come to you, heavy with rattle, the kind of animals you carry too. This poem's called People Like Monsters. People want to get squished and eaten whole, and not so secretly. People want a short distinction between life and death. Imagine the wholesomeness of curling into a dark throat, being a sucker once on the street and soaked in blood. You learn there, listen, last. The gargles leaping down your body. 30 seconds. You think out loud, I'm close and no one's looking. Here's what destiny has to say in its God darkness. So now we're really in the market. So anytime there's something pointed to that isn't denoted as such, it's probably a fish. That one is invisible. That one is perfectly clear. He turned, he continued pointing very scanty fingers. That one was over there. That one was there before. They laid in cosmic powder. Silver foam had formed around their pupils. Dad said summer wouldn't be the same if we were home and had to fly them out all that way. And Mom said, let's not forget how miracles happen in the first place. Go ahead, the monger said, touch. This poem's called Big 50. Which is a reference to America. You're part of the Big 50. Rosemary grows everywhere, anywhere you place it. Left on the mantle to stare, just like the sun stares down at the sky. He clutches 3 in each hand. He sneers and they cower. They sneer and he howls. Rose-tinted drippings, the sound of a zipper. He whispers, Manchester plays Oxford today. Bloody bastards better win. And they cheer. Other things laying in a trough of ice. A copy of Lotus in a Sea of Fire, bottled water, burnt latex hospital gloves, a month-to-month lease, a new pair of plastic glasses, Korean face masks, a darning stitch, a stool, a bully, 2 20s, pig knuckles, a plate. I shared that poem with somebody and they told me that another way to say pig knuckles is ham hock, which I didn't realize. fish wrapped in newspaper given to the baby to read. The oldest and slowest wisdoms the baby acknowledged with a cry. Shelter, she shrieked, find shelter, pressing fish to cheek. The prisoner of love continued, freshly rotting each new day. At what height does the air above America stop being America? Only the persistent daisy knows. By accident or mistake, maybe this has happened to one of you all. By accident or mistake, one of the fish gets shuffled in with the cash. The monger fails to notice, a clammy white tail poking out from his wallet. The banker takes it. She washes her hands, but she does that after every touch. The ATM passes it out. In just 1 week, the fish is used to pay for an oil change, a bag of candy, a seafood platter, margarine, tickets to Black Adam, a discount prescription for albuterol, discount ammo, lavender-scented candles, a toll. Weeks and months and years go by. Eventually, the fish gets worn in two, then taped together again, and never retires. Dad asked, is there a joke about fish in red lipstick? And the monger replied, of course. It goes, a hole opened in the sky, and the sea rose to meet it. Dad repeated, confused, a hole opened in the sky, the sea rose to meet it. Mom said beneath her breath, a hole? The sea? The baby grabbed it from the air, declaring, that's not so funny. And the monger said, so be it, before tossing one off to the birds. The monger stops the janitor for a chat. This one's salmon, this one's tuna, this one's halibut, these are sardines. This one's cod, these are anchovies, this one's herring, this one's a mackerel. This one's mahi-mahi, this one's John Dory, this one's turbot, and this one's black cod. This one's skipjack, this one's Arctic char, this one's red snapper, this one's a sea bream, and this one is a sea bass. The janitor squints. Looks like fish to me. Big push broom shuttling the scales away. They're still alive? The monger's wife asked. Not exactly, the monger replied. It's just that they keep eating and shitting. Well, why do you keep feeding them? His wife asked. Because they keep eating, the monger screamed, angling back in his chair. You buy two, you drive them home. Late that night, you notice something stuck inside one's chalky lid. You reach in with finger and thumb. You reach a thin scroll that reads, after all you know, and Tibet is still not free. Dad bites, Mom bites. The baby twists a spiteful face. Mom says, if it fits in your mouth, it's natural. Tiny baby bites. There's a marinade of soy sauce, dill, cumin, white and black pepper. There's a grain mix of quinoa, cilantro, buckwheat, and wild rice. That one looks like a bottle. That one looks like a breast. That one looks like a caliber. That one looks like a crone. That one looks like an organ. That one looks like an op. That one looks like a paddle. That one looks like a plate. That one looks like a wizard. That one looks like a wick. That one looks like a Y. That one looks like a yam. I love crowds in the stratosphere. I love crowds in the sea, of dust and charge, of tactic and glass, of feedback and flicker, of military green. Crowds that keep no bones, no meter, crowds without belows or aft, crowds that leave no odor, no foam. They need elaboration, they are elaborate. They do not lack for trails of crumbs. Crowds are calluses in spite of floating above the bottom, below the sea. Thank you so much.